Attention shoppers, we've got to clean up on Aisle H.
What the other wolves think?
A true crime cleanup on Aisle H.
Diabolical.
Starting now.
No, he's telling you that she's bats.
Howdy, wholeheads. Kurt Money here, alongside my co-host,
Kateline.
and we are here to discuss an episode of the television show Vanity Fair Confidential. Which, based on the graphic package for this show, this is one classy MFer. We agree, Kate? This is class.
Well, Vanity Fair. That is a very upscale publication.
I mean, I feel like it might even be in the opening credits. It is like the utmost in print. Like, they really suck their own in this thing, don't they?
They really said that. They really said, and what other prestigious publication could be behind stories like this?
In a class of its own, it's America's leading journal, Vanity Fair.
Yeah, that was wild.
And I'm thinking, okay.
I like this show, okay? It's the only reason why I haven't burned through them all is because it's not always murder. Sometimes it's like a scandal or like a robbery and stuff, and I'm kind of like, snooze.
There's got to be a body.
Gotta be a body. All right, so I'm going to get your thoughts on it, but first I'm going to read you the IMDb description where I take out one word in here and will not say it because I think it gives too much away. This is called Murder on the Sunset Strip. Aired January in 2017. In 1980, a killer abducts women from downtown Los Angeles and leaves their bodies in bizarre places. Police must sort fact from fiction as someone makes a strange confession. Kate, what did you think of this show?
Well, first of all, none of the bodies were found on the Sunset Strip. They were all in the valley.
Yeah,
It wasn't even close to the strip.
we're going to talk about this because they really... Were they all found in the valley? I thought a few of them had to be found because that's what this case is known for. And they talk about it like that, but you're right. Every person they talk about lived in the valley. They're talking about San Fernando Valley. That's not Sunset Strip.
When I was watching it, I thought I heard that 2 of the 3 were found off Ventura, and 1 was found on an on-ramp to the freeway in Burbank.
Good call. I mean, I think it might be that they later found out, or they knew that these were working girls from the strip. Like maybe this is where they picked up the women that were murdered because a few of them were sex workers and whatnot. Is that perhaps what it was?
If it was, they never really said that.
Yeah.
They never said they were cruising Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
And when they did mention anybody going into Hollywood, they showed Hollywood Boulevard, not the Strip.
The girls were last seen alive on the Sunset Strip.
That being said, I really liked this, and
Yep.
I think I've seen other things cover this story before, but I'm not sure because while some of the people looked familiar, I did not know the story.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I love the way that Vanity Fair Confidential covered the story. I was aware of this case, but it was from other shows that did not do it in the way they did. So that when the reveals finally happened at the end, I was like, oh, wait, I know these people. I know this story. But the facts that you used to present to us was done in such a way where I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because World's Most Evil Killers did one. I rewatched that baby today.
2 of the world's most evil killers.
I mean, look, Kate, based on these texts, you were pretty excited. You were like, can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. The opening titles are terrible.
Yeah, with the gold and stuff, right?
And all the text jumbled together to form images. At one point, I had no idea what image it was trying to even form.
Yeah.
What a mess.
Yeah. What a mess. And I really think that ties into them wanting to make this look like prestige television. It's like, no, you're down here in the muck with the rest of us, okay?
Welcome.
You're no better than Fear Thy Nabes on Discovery Plus. So I don't know what you think you are to
Totally.
this.
Embrace it.
Yes. Okay, so our story begins in Los Angeles in 1980. And, I mean, I forgot about this when I rewatched this for the cameo that happens within the first few seconds this show starts, Kate.
Oh, that's when I texted you.
I was wondering. Okay, so it opens up and we're looking at old news footage. Tom Brokaw is describing what a serial killer is. And I'm like, really? Still in 1980 they're doing this? But he was.
The murder of people in series or serial murders.
And then we see this handsome devil talking on screen.
A Justice Department investigator calls it terrifying, an epidemic.
An old news report, we see him twice.
Motiveless, random killings.
Who is this handsome devil?
Y'all, it's Murph Dog, and he's like
Murph Dog!
38, maybe.
He's young.
He's young.
He's a young dog. He's a puppy.
Maybe younger than that. Even 35.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What'd you think? Were you like, what?
I was so excited. I don't
Yeah.
know if I would call him a handsome devil, though, Kurt.
Look, I'm just giving him a little boost because he's our boy.
I mean, he looks the same.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. I'm not going to die on a hill that Dennis Murphy is attractive. I was just kind of being nice because it was a young Murph dog.
I'll be.
But it was pretty sweet because he has like blonde hair, doesn't he? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it's that old school 80s style where it's heavy on the comb over, even though it's not hiding any baldness. Everyone was still kind of doing that slicked over thing. Better that than the mullet.
Yeah.
Although you love a mullet.
Sure do. Sure friggin' do. Boy, Murph dog and a mullet. But if I was still doing posters, that's what would be on the front of it. Would be a Murph dog with a mullet. Anyway, so that was an absolute delight to see him. It is June 1980. 2 kids from the OC, from Orange County, run away. They say run away to Los Angeles.
15-year-old Cindy Chandler and 16-year-old Gina Morano have run away from their home in suburban Orange County.
They hitchhike to LA, okay? They go to a party in the Hollywood Hills. They're younger than most.
As you do.
Yeah, I mean, this story starts and I'm terrified. I was like, there's a million ways this does not end well for these girls.
But also, what are those odds? You hitchhike into Los Angeles and like one of the first nights you're there, you're at a party at a mansion in the hills.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I guess there were a lot of creeps going to those parties because, I mean, these were
If you're hot, you can get in anywhere.
I guess. So they're at this party and they talk to a woman, Mindy Cohen, who they say was a gal of privilege. We don't talk to her. This is all we really know about her, but it's important to know. Mindy is just an older woman at the party. I mean, older woman. She might be 18 or 20 or something.
She befriended them, and she had given both Cindy and Gina her number.
Later, Gina, one of the girls, calls her dad and is like, great news. We're staying at a movie producer's house in the Hollywood Hills. And again, I'm like, this is worse than the party thing. The fact that you're like now being a kept woman at one of these houses, a kept child. Mm-hmm. Okay. Did they run away? What was this call? Like, Dad, I ran away, but I just want you to know we're still alive. We're still good.
Just because they're hitchhiking doesn't mean that they necessarily ran away. It's just that's how they chose to get there.
I mean, they were gone for days, right? I mean, they literally did say run away, but...
Have run away from their home.
Do you think it was a little looser than that? It was just like they ran off?
I think they were like, hey, Dad, I'm going to LA.
Okay. I mean, then...
And he's like, what? And then they're gone.
Right.
Also, it's not that far.
It is,
It's not like they're in Iowa and they like hop a train and they go to Hollywood. It's like...
That's true.
It's 40 minutes up the road.
That's true. Okay, 4 days later, dead bodies are found on the side of the road near a highway entrance on Ventura. This was super sad because there are girls. It's Cindy and Gina. Mm-hmm. And then they describe what happened to them. Would you like the honors, Kate?
They were shot and beheaded?
Well, no, it's just weird. The lady says spermatozoa in her mouth. And I was like, whoa. It was a wild descriptor. They were assaulted and stuff and murdered.
Right.
I just feel bad. Wasn't it wild hearing her say spermatozoa? Or no, did that not?
What would you prefer she had said?
They had suffered sexual assault or something? It was just wild to me to hear spermatozoa. What do you think?
It did stand out to me as well.
Okay.
There was spermatozoa in her mouth.
She was shot once in the head and heart, and then there were 2 gunshot wounds also in Gina Morano. Both dead, both naked. We see some blurry photos. During the autopsy, they find bullets to a .25 caliber gun called a Raven. Was this just not the cutest little gun you've ever seen?
It's the cutest little pew-pew.
Yeah, very tiny pew-pew.
You carry a what?
Pew-pew.
And they're saying that at that time, they're like, hey, maybe it's the Hillside Stranglers. Because they're on a hill, dead bodies taken from the strip.
Yeah, I was wondering, what was that like during that time when they found other dead bodies? They really had no idea who did what.
Well, yeah, they kind of plant that at the beginning where it's like there were a ton of working serial killers in LA at the time. And I think that year they had like 1,200 murders or something crazy.
My God.
I believe we had close to 1,200 homicides within the city of Los Angeles.
But they're talking about like Randy Kraft, and what's weird is Hillside Stranglers, they were busted in 79. So this was like a year after. But like when the guy they mentioned, Randy Kraft, he wasn't caught till 83.
Right.
Anyway,
and then you've
that's
got
funny.
copycats.
Yep, and they were talking about that too. Absolutely.
If you hated your wife, this would have been a great time to murder her and put her on a hillside.
Absolutely. It's a great point.
And maybe that did happen. Maybe some of these serial killers, it was assumed that these murders were part of theirs, but it was actually just a random asshole.
Yeah, what a lucky son of a bitch that would be. Because there are serial killers or murderers that get caught where it's like, okay, we've got them on the books for 3 bodies. That's all we need. Like, do we need to find out who did the other 17? And it's like, well, number 15 was actually done by a angry husband. But now he's in the clear.
Well, yeah.
You're right.
And one thing I loved about this episode was that these people would have been in the clear because they had absolutely no leads.
Yeah, I know. I know.
None.
They just, one of them just loved to talk.
Yeah.
just fucking loved
It would have been completely fine.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Okay, 2 days later, they get a call from a woman who says she knows about the killing. And we hear audio of this.
He said that he hit 2 teenage girls. You can verify this or not, because the papers do not say this.
And this lady is like, I'm the only one who knows this info. It was my husband. I could be next on the list. I know he hit 2 girls and shot them with 4 bullets and all this stuff.
And I won't tell you who he is or who I am. That's all you get. Goodbye. Click.
Goodbye. Click. Hang up.
What is the point, lady? What are you doing?
So who knows with that lady?
But I'm the only damn person in the world that knows. I know the killer. I may be the next one on his list.
A few days later, they get a call from a guy in a parking lot. Or here we go. Gets a call from a guy at an apartment near the Sunset Strip. Okay, so maybe this is... But I'm with you. Why is that the nickname of these people? Like, it's not like a body was found outside the House of Blues or something. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Okay. Shortly after that call from this woman, 2 more bodies turn up. The second one is decapitated. This is Exie Wilson from Texas. And she was like behind a dumpster, and they show the serrated knife, and it was like it took 20 swipes to get this head off, right?
Yeah, it was not a clean operation. Brutal.
Yeah. And the head is decapitated, but they don't find the head. It's like, where is this head at? We've just got the body. A few days later, they get a call from a guy in an apartment complex near the Sunset Strip. He's like, dude, there's this like wooden box here. There's something funny in it. They go to this box, and wrapped in a shirt is that head of Exie Wilson. There's a head in this box, isn't there?
Something funny, all right.
Yeah, wait, what?
He said there's something funny here.
Oh, yeah. And it was creepy because it was wrapped in a shirt that said Daddy's Little Girl or whatever, right?
It was very creepy.
Sad.
Also in the box was a shirt which said Daddy's Girl on it.
Because it's like, is that Exie's shirt? Or is that the shirt of some other child? Who knows?
I don't know. And they had a picture of it in an evidence bag, and it looked like it had been washed or something. They wouldn't have washed it, though, right?
You mean the blood didn't look like fresh? It looked like it was washed and cleaned?
Yeah, I mean, the Daddy's Girl shirt that they show in a plastic bag looks new to me. And that's what the head was in.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Although, wait a minute, this might be answered later because... Okay, wait, let's put a pin in that, because I think I know the answer to that of why there is no blood dripping from that head.
Put it in the freezer.
Because it had been done dripping for quite some time by then.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, but there's a bullet in that head, and when you know it, it's also from a little raven. It's a 25.
Pew, pew.
Pew, pew. Lots of great news footage of cops at phone banks taking calls. I love this. And we see the Parker Center, which is like LA police headquarters. It was recently demolished in 2019, but I recognize this building from a billion things, including at least 5 Columbos.
I was going to say Columbo.
And it really makes me think of the beginning of in Inherent Vice when Joaquin Phoenix is walking up to the jail and one of the cops body checks him. That's that place. You know that?
Or as I call it, Incoherent Vice. Clever.
Good stuff.
Good, honey.
August 11th, 1980. We get a call from that same woman. And now this time, she's nice enough to give us her name.
Carol Bundy.
Bundy. Okay. Now, this show and the other show I watched in her, no one ever said anything of like, no relation. What do you think, Kate? Look, I know Ted Bundy didn't work in LA, okay? This is immediately after Ted Bundy. I mean, he's on death row when this happens.
She's Carol Bundy, a 40-year-old nurse living in the San Fernando Valley.
I'm shocked nobody said no relation. What do you think?
The name definitely had my ears perking up, but this is the point where I said, oh, I remember this case from somewhere. Just because Carol Bundy, you don't see her face and forget it.
Well, no, and now we could talk about that because this was when we get a description of her. There's like a cop that talked to her, and then there was like, I assume a Vanity Fair writer or somebody had interviewed her. But do you remember how they describe her?
Did they call her an unexpecting housewife?
No. She called herself a dainty little housewife on a recording later.
But I'm just a flaky little housewife.
But the first description we get is, she was a small, round woman with thick glasses.
Which is exactly what she looked like.
Carol is a small, round woman with bottle-thick glasses.
I was dying at how quickly they were to say, like, I mean, get a load of this woman, right?
Not dainty, round.
Yeah, round. And also, this is good. In the World's Most Evil Killers, this is how they described him on that show. Calls her frumpy and bespectacled.
The frumpy nurse from Burbank, Los Angeles.
That's hilarious. And then Ramsland was on there, and she called her lumpy and dumpy.
She had a kind of a lumpy, dumpy body.
Frumpy, lumpy, dumpy, round. Carol Bundy.
If you said she was like an old school, classic looking librarian, that's kind of how I see her. Now, I think that gives librarians a bad rap. Many are very attractive young women. But this is like in your head when you think of the cartoon old school version. That's her with those thick ass glasses.
Yeah, they're very thick. And they talk about how she had like a high pitched voice and stuff.
Which I didn't think was true. Hearing her on the recordings, they said she sounded like a teenager.
Yeah.
And I thought, that sounds like a grown woman. It's not particularly high. It's not low.
Yeah, it didn't strike me as making her sound young or anything.
At the time that I left my husband, I had no idea where I was going. I just have to get away.
It kind of gives me the idea that she's a small, unassuming person. I don't know if I'd go as far to say it was mousy. I get what they were going for, but you're right. It didn't really jump out at me. And now is when we get the background of Carol, where she grew up with abuse from her mom and dad. Mom died young, and they say that she was sexually active with her father until she got married at 17. And I want to say, hey, guy who said sexually active, no. She was sexually abused by her father until she was 17. Don't you think saying it sexually active kind of makes it like she was on board?
Well, that's what's always bothered me about the way they talk about Mackenzie Phillips, saying that she was in a consensual sexual relationship with her father for many years. And I'm thinking, just because she was into it doesn't mean that's not abuse.
Yeah, because when it started, it was not... Is it consensual now, 30 years later, because she's been in it for her life? Yeah, maybe you could look at it like that. But yeah, it definitely didn't start consensual.
She was a child.
Yeah, it's a good call. And that's what I'm thinking here. I was like, guys, no. But they said that.
She was sexually active with her father till she met her first husband and married him.
Her first marriage was to a guy who was almost 40 years older than her. I got that extra info later. But that marriage only lasted a few days because he wanted to invite friends over to have sex with her either for free or for money.
But this is all according to her.
That is true. So then she talks about how she met her husband, Grant Bundy. Again, maybe he was Ted's brother. Nobody knows. But
maybe.
That was 9 years later. They get married, and this lasts for a few years, but they split up, I think for similar reasons or something, but they split up, and this is now November of 1978, she moves into an apartment complex directly above the apartment manager, Jack Murray. Jack Murray was an Australian, and he had a colorful life going on here. Can you tell us about...
Well, he was the building manager of this apartment complex.
But he was also known as the Australian Cowboy, because he was a country western singer, and he would perform regularly at the Little Nashville.
Right, which was in North Hollywood, Van Nuys.
Jack had been a well-received Australian country western singer at Little Nashville, which was a bar in the North Hollywood, Van Nuys area.
But they show us, like, flyers for his shows and stuff. I kind of love that those still exist, like from the late 70s, right?
I thought this guy seemed cool.
Yeah, I mean, now, again, take it with a grain of salt. Carol said he was pretty mean to her and stuff. I mean, right?
Well, was she crazy?
Well, also, he was married at this time. So, I mean, he was sleeping around on his wife, because Carol made it sound like everybody at the apartment complex knew that they were knocking boots too, right?
It was well known to everybody who lived in the complex what that relationship was. She was very open about it, much to the chagrin of Jack's wife.
But were they?
I don't know.
Because you look at him, you look at her. This is where I'm like, is she an unreliable narrator? Because we have nothing confirming this. This is all just what Carol is telling us. And in her mind, she's this dainty little housewife who wooed this building manager.
Right. Well...
And that is not what she is.
Okay, well, I hear you, but they do have proof that she loaned him over $10,000. So they clearly had a relationship.
Right, but was it sexual?
Okay. I don't know. You question it, now it feels like it's not true. Are we going to say that about everything Carol says today?
Honestly, that is the vibe I got from this, where I was like, well, I don't believe anything out of her mouth.
Okay. All right. She said that she called him master, and he liked that she was docile and stuff. More of her being like, I'm just a little mousy girl.
I'm just so little. You can just do whatever you want.
I'm very docile and submissive.
But she's told that Jack is like, listen, my wife's got cancer, okay? I gotta pay for chemotherapy so I can kick her out and move you in, Carol. I'm dying to spend my life with you. And Carol says, you got it, Jack. Here's the money.
But doesn't that sound not real?
I agree, Kate, but we can't dwell on that. We gotta just keep talking about it, right? What do you think?
No,
right?
I know.
Okay, so she says, okay, I'll do it. I'll pay for your wife's treatments. And then she finds out, no cancer. She was paying for van payments.
He had to buy a van. Van life.
Then it turned out he didn't use the money for that at all, and she didn't have cancer, and then the money went to a van payment.
We see a picture of that van and results from Van Nuys Chevrolet, like a receipt that is like, she made these payments on these dates of the 79. My God, did that crack me up that this dick was like, my wife's got cancer. I just got to get her better and then you're in. And it's like, no, I'm just going to buy a van with that money.
I just wanted a shaggin' wagon. That van was pretty sick.
Yeah, it looked dope.
It had all the makings of a Kurt Money approved vehicle, orange and brown, all those decals on the side, very of the time. Yep,
absolutely. This is still Carol talking in June of 1980, and she says, okay, now December of 79. This is when the whole thing happened where they're talking about the seedy places they go, including Carney's Express Limited hot dogs. That's a hot dog stand, dude. I don't know if in 1980 it was seedy, but it's next to the Saddle Ranch now, and it's very well lit.
And these were unbelievably dark little places.
And Carol is like, so this December of 79, she goes out for a drink at this little bar called, the Little Nashville, which is where she met Jack Murray. I mean, so this is her spot because he's singing there on Monday, Friday and Saturdays or whatever. But this is where she sees a man staring at her from across the bar named Doug Clark, who is bright and charming and a self-described ladies' man.
He's a very affable guy, very intelligent, and looked you in the eye.
He is a bright and charming 32-year-old named Douglas Clark.
Hey, Kate, tell me what you thought when they cut to his picture. What was Kateline thinking?
Right off the bat, you know he's the murderer.
Crazy, yeah.
Because his eyes are insane.
Yes.
If you saw that man looking at you from across the bar, you would go, you would call the police.
Yes.
Because there's nothing even subtle about it. It's just so clearly psychotic eyes.
Yeah.
And a self-described ladies' man, again, here we go. These people think a lot of themselves.
Yeah, I went back to watch it again of like, boy, they really pumped him up. I guess they didn't, but they really made it sound like he was a good talker and stuff. And I was so floored when his crazy eyes came at us. I was like, this guy looks like a lunatic. And later they're like, he always had like a deer in headlights expression.
Yeah, no shit.
Like he was like a lion in a cage. And it's like, yeah, those eyes. I mean, yeah, of course. I could tell that in his family portrait that we saw.
Yeah, they kept showing various photos of him in one was like a professional portrait, one was a family portrait, and he's crazy in all of them.
Yep. So now we get a little background on this Doug Clark guy. He grew up in a Navy family, joined the Air Force, honorably discharged, and he worked at a factory then in LA that made lotions. His job was to keep those boilers going.
It was the Jergens factory.
Is that Jergens of those Jergens? It was something Jergens. It was it had a name before it. Is that like the...
Probably before like Unilever or Johnson & Johnson bought them.
Crazy. It's weird to think boilers are necessary for making lotion. I mean, I guess something's probably got to be hot in that process. But what do you think a lotion factory looks like? I've never seen the inside of one.
I have no idea.
Who knows?
This was wild, though. He didn't have apartments or male friends. They were very clear about this. His only move was he'd meet women at bars and stay at their place.
He would meet a girl at a bar, become friends with her immediately and then move in with her.
My God, what a hassle that sounds like. What do you think? Every night, it's like, okay, I got to bone somebody and then just kind of squat at their place till they kick me out. That's his move.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Honestly, you know who it sounds like? Marty Mauser from Marty Supreme, an Oscar movie I just watched. You haven't watched that one yet either, have you?
No, I haven't.
One?
Nope.
He does the same thing where he sleeps around, and when Gwyneth Paltrow's like, how do you pay rent? He's like, I don't. Anyway, same thing here, so I guess it's possible.
That many people want to sleep with a man who looks like a child?
How do you live?
Well, I live with the confidence if I believe in myself, the money will follow.
But hey, and apparently Doug Clark is cleaning up. This psycho's getting... So what does he get? Does he have a car that his stuff is in?
Does he have stuff? Does he bring a little suitcase with him every night?
So they say that he moves in with her. So it must have been like this thing where he just charmed his way in. But they're very clear of saying they had sex like 3 or 4 times. It was not sexual related. They make it very clear. It's like, oh, he's using her for her pad, right?
Well, duh.
Yeah.
This is wrong.
They start talking about their fantasies. And again, this is all, we're getting this from Carol Bundy, that his fantasies involved capturing young ladies. And then one day it becomes a reality. They had gone to Sunset Strip to pick up a sex worker. And Carol does it. Like Carol gets out and is like, hey, you're going to be a present for my husband. Come on in.
Mm-hmm.
And then what goes down in the car?
So Carol sits in the back seat and this sex worker gets in the front and blows Doug. And while she's doing that, does Carol shoot her?
No, that's the thing.
He shoots her.
So in the back, it's not. He didn't shoot her in the head. Her head was on his junk.
He would have shot his own dick.
Yeah. So
So
did he shoot her
she
in the
just
back?
the blocking of that is kind of weird. Again, this is according to Carol.
That's true. And she says, hey, wasn't it until I was up to my neck in dead bodies that I realized this was not a fantasy at all. Really, Carol? It took a few bodies?
Carol? A few times?
It wasn't the first one? The first body didn't tip you off?
Good grief. Or when he told you his fantasy and you said, okay, let's go make that happen.
Yeah. No. Well, she's just, she's getting pushed along.
She's just a little housewife.
And it wasn't until I was up to my nose in dead bodies that I realized that it was not a fantasy situation.
She says that Doug Clark is responsible for killing Gina Morano and Cindy Chandler and Exie Wilson, the decapitated head. She's saying this was my boyfriend or husband or whatever, Doug Clark. He did it. And then she says, there's also another death. I wasn't there for it, but he told me all about it. Okay, and the body is by 2 water towers. And that's all she knows.
And a few weeks later,
what happens?
Cops find a body near these 2 water towers up in the Angeles National Forest. It's exactly where he said it would be.
Yeah, they show B-roll and stuff, and they do 2 shots where there are 2 water towers in the background. I was waiting for one of them to point it out. It wasn't like front and center of the shot, I felt. It was in the background and stuff. And to be honest, when I think of water towers, I think of the ones that are a long stick with like a big ball on top. But I did Google these exact thing, and they are a version of a water tower. So, I mean, she was right. But don't you think that they were kind of like in the background a little bit? I felt I was weird they didn't point them out to me.
Yeah, I feel like the long skinny ones with the ball at the top, I feel like those are more like a Midwest thing.
Maybe.
Or I don't know. I guess we've seen them in the South. We've seen them all over. But in the West, I feel like they're not as common.
To me, I kind of suspected, just for your own records here, okay, I'm going to text it to you, the picture of it. Do you think these were the water towers or they weren't, and this was stock footage of 2 water towers? It felt a little suspicious in how they did not point it out, is all. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe that was just some stock photos that the show got afterwards, and it's not the exact ones.
Yeah, because earlier when they were talking about Carol when she got married, there was old-timey footage of people in bathing suits and like cat eye glasses. And I was like, I don't think that's Carol.
Nope. Carol was never that tiny. I'm like really busting Carol's balls, but I feel like that's okay because she's a criminal.
Yeah, and at the very least, we know right now she's friggin' wasting the cops' times because they find this body and stuff, and she's like, don't worry, he'll screw up one day. And this is, again, we're hearing this recording, and the cops say, well, you can tell us more. And boy, did I fucking hate Carol in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, hey, I gave you your basics, okay? Now you know where to start.
Go do your job.
Oof.
I gave you your basics. Now you know where to start.
The way that she said this on this tape, I was so mad at her. Like, you're loving this, Carol.
And doesn't that right away make her an accomplice?
Well,
and also, what's it called when you hinder an investigation?
Oh, how about obstruction of justice? You know, that's what I'm thinking when I'm watching this show. I'm going, what is up with this lady? And the VO goes, it was now when cops were thinking that maybe Carol knows a little bit more than she's saying.
Detectives are starting to suspect that Carol Bundy is more than just a witness to the Sunset Strip murders.
2 days earlier, they had been investigating a murder in a van. It was a male victim, sexual type killing. Head was gone, knife wounds to scrotum, penis, and anus area.
Oof.
Okay.
There were knife wounds to the scrotum, penis, and to the anus area.
Now, what was the name of that victim?
Well, that was Carol's old building manager.
It's Jack Murray. That's the body that they found in that van, Jack Murray.
And when you hear about the injuries to his body, you have to think, well, Carol did that, because that is so personal.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, hey, she admits to it straight up, because this is when she tells a story about how she went to the Nashville bar and said to Jack, hey, my current guy, Doug Clark, he's abusing me, okay? He's a killer, and he's going to kill me tonight. I just know it. Can I stay with you tonight? And Jack made the mistake of going, no, you can't. Which is one, funny, good for you, dude. Good for you, because we know she's bullshit.
I ran to him and asked him to hide me for the night. He wouldn't. Things did not go as they should have.
But what does he fall for, though? Because she says, okay, but, you know, let's do this. What was the activity that she pitched instead?
Well, she lures him outside of the bar.
Yeah, which he went for, which was wild, too. Like, tell me in here, you small round woman. They go outside, and he says, no, absolutely not. And this is when Carol talks him into...
just a quick blowy.
She enticed him with oral sex and then had him on his hands and knees and pulled out the .25 Raven and shot him in the back of the head.
Now, here's what's interesting to me. We assume it's a blowjob. And when you think about where the injuries are, anus area, taint, the friggin' penis and stuff. Like, I get it. One hand's doing this. And like, I get that. But they said it that they found him on his hands and knees. So that would imply that he was going down on her.
Had him on his hands and knees.
Huh.
What do you think?
Although, maybe she just moved his body and positioned it like that?
That's got to be that. But I personally was cracking up at the idea that Jack, like, that worked, where she was like, all right, but, you know, I can't stay at your place, but if you want to eat me out real quick, I'm cool with that too. And they were both like, party, Jack's like, I'm in. I'm friggin' in, Carol. I got this brand new van. Oh, wait, never mind. This is not what the cancer money bought.
I love that she asked to stay at his house, and he said, no, Carol, I have a wife. She lives there.
Yeah. And I just imagine her being so furious that he said no. And so that's when she's cooking it up of going like, I'm going to have a knife in one hand.
I thought it was interesting how the show kept hinting that Jack might be the murderer.
Could Jack Murray have been the Sunset Strip killer?
This is what I was falling for with this show. This Jack Murray guy's got nothing to do with it in other shows.
And also, he's just one of their victims. And yet, for the first couple minutes, you think he's the murderer.
Yeah, but to me, I feel like that's a good move.
Oh,
do
yeah.
you think that's... Okay, because I don't think it's shady.
Oh, was my tone making it sound like I was annoyed? I was liking that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just want to make sure of that. I don't think it was like dishonest how they told it. They used good elements of the story where I did think at this point it could have been that Jack Murray guy.
It's like an old Dateline trick, back when Dateline used to do really good misdirects.
Yeah, back when Dateline was good at stuff.
Mm-hmm. Pew pew. I also don't see what she stood to gain from that, because he said, no, you can't stay at my place. So she said, okay, well, what about we blow each other? She still needs a place to stay. That's not getting her anything.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe Jack thought, I bet she thinks if I let her blow me, I'm going to say yes. Little does she know I'm going to say no. And really, she's going, little does he know he's not going to be able to say anything because I'm going to put my knife in his anus area.
I feel like if you want someone to do something for you, you ask them like in the middle of the fellatio.
Okay.
Not after.
Yeah.
Because after, when the mind clears, it's even more of a no.
Yeah.
The anus area?
I think about that too when this move is used in movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm always thinking like, get it in writing before you do the thing. I feel like it's not going to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because when it's over, things become a lot more clearer and there are regrets.
So she goes home. She's still telling the story, and she's like, I go home to Doug. Now, Doug, the guy that she was supposedly trying to get away from, by the way, she now tells Doug, I screwed up. And then you come out to the car, and there's friggin' Jack Murray's head on the front seat of her car. And Doug flips out and is like, okay, we got to take care of this.
And there in the passenger side is this head. He is absolutely aghast.
So they go and get rid of the head, which they've never found to this day. And now is when the cops go, boy, that's funny. We are dealing with another decapitation of Essie Wilson. Essie? Of this other girl.
Exie.
We're dealing with another decapitation. And Carol goes, oh, yep, that was Doug, dude. Doug did that.
That was Doug.
That was friggin' Doug. Here, I'll tell you how. And Carol keeps talking, right?
But was it? Because Carol cut off Jack's head. She knows how to cut off heads.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Carol is still recounting the tale of Exie Wilson, the first body that they found. She said that they did that one together. They had dumped the body, and they kept her head on purpose, and they go to a burger stand while the head's still in the car. And then, this is where you know Carol's eating this shit up, because then she talks about how they went home and stuck the head in a freezer.
Right.
And then she describes the makeup process. Go ahead and tell us what they did with this head.
Have you ever tried to put makeup on a frozen head? It's terrible.
Yeah, we're hearing her say that. So she's saying that they got makeup and stuff, but the head was too cold, that Doug didn't like it because it was too cold, because it had been in the freezer.
They took that head and washed the obvious blood off of the neck wound and put it in the freezer.
Where I had my fun with it was with the makeup.
That's pretty creepy, though, thinking about putting makeup on stuff on a frozen dead body, right?
My question is why?
Why do it?
Why do it?
I don't know. I feel like, to bring it back, I think Bundy did that to at least one of his victims that he left in the park that he would go back to. I feel like he also put makeup on them sometimes, I guess to make them look more alive, maybe.
So when you're having sex with the corpse, it doesn't feel like it's a corpse?
I guess here's the thing is it's hard for us to grasp because we're talking about people who willingly have sex with parts of bodies that are not attached to bodies anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like we're kind of on different wavelengths, I think. Because I don't.
So the why is like, well, that's not the only why.
Yeah. Yeah, Leroy, you ever try to put lipstick on a frozen head? It's a bitch.
It's a bitch.
She said. Yeah.
And didn't he respond with, sure? At one point, one of them says, like, she's talking about murder so casually, and he goes, oh, sure, as you do.
There is. The guy, he said things that I imagine Carol wanted in the first place. He was like, how could you say that about, have you ever heard anyone say that about a beheaded person before? I feel like she was doing it to get a rise out of him, and he kind of fell for it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
She looked me straight in the eye and says, Leroy, have you ever tried to put lipstick on a frozen head? He said, it's a bitch. And I had no answer. And I said, are you kidding?
I'd like to think that if I was in that room, I'd go, Carol, you're not impressing me. Okay, so cut it. But who knows? Who knows, man? Imagine this lady telling you about putting makeup on a frozen head, decapitated. I mean, it's pretty wild.
Just arrest her already.
Yeah.
Good God.
So now they want to talk to Doug Clark. Mm-hmm. They're like, let's talk to this Doug Clark. And that's when they talk about how...
they go to his place and they look around.
Well, they get a search warrant for his house and they find pornography and we see stacks of Playboys and stuff. And also a book called like a sexual records book, like a Guinness Book of World Records for sex. And you know I Googled it. They're not in print anymore, but that exists.
Did you read that book?
I did not read that book. No, I didn't.
Did you order it on eBay?
I did not, but it's there. It is there. But here's the thing. I didn't want to because Mom Money would open that up and be like, what are you ordering?
Oh, that's
Right?
an easy explanation, Kurt.
What?
Why is
What
she
is it?
opening your packages?
I told you because I ship them to her.
That doesn't mean she has to open them.
But if it's a book, it's a true crime book, and she's allowed to read it first, is the thing. So I would have to clarify. Point is, that's why I'm not ordering it, Kate.
Okay.
But they
Y'all,
interviewed
Kurt
Doug.
Money
What?
does not live in a deliverable address.
No.
He lives in a murder house with no windows.
Sadly, yes. Yeah. Yes! They're talking to Doug, and he's cool as ice in the interview until they come in and like, hey, we found this little scrapbook here. Inside the scrapbook are pictures of this 11-year-old girl that you're neighbors with. Tell us about poor Shannon O.
This was awful. So, Doug and Carol took this girl a lot on their escapades.
Yeah, it started out as them babysitting her. I guess legitly.
And then it turned into them abusing her and taking her along for their crimes and just exposing this poor girl to all sorts of stuff, taking weird pictures of her. She was abused.
In sexy clothing.
And this young girl was dressed in clothing that could only be described as something you might see in a pornographic movie.
And we see pictures of this girl with a bar over her eyes, and they call her Shannon O and stuff. So I guess she's still living. I hope that she's okay.
I hope so. But this was enough for them to get them on initially before they found more evidence.
This was enough for them to throw Doug Clark in jail for child molestation. That was, at least while we're looking into the murder stuff, we can hold him on this. But this was another thing where the phrasing was like, they said they take Shannon O with them while they got sex workers in Hollywood and let her watch. And I want to go, guys, they forced her to watch.
They did not let her.
They did not let her. She's 11, y'all.
She didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And they used her as bait to make these sex workers feel safe.
Yeah.
He allowed Shannon O to watch prostitutes engage in oral copulation with him.
They get a warrant for a storage unit. No weapons or anything, but they do find blood streaks immediately. They're like, this was where it was dragged, or this is where a body was dragged, and they test it, and it's the blood of one of our victims it was Gina Carano's blood.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's tied to their bodies. It still doesn't say that he killed them because there's no weapons, but her blood.
There's also a footprint in there, right? And it happens to match the exact boots that Doug is wearing when they bring him in. They're looking at him wearing the boots with the print that they found in the blood in the storage unit.
And they go, friggin' take those off, Doug Clark. Give us your friggin' boots.
They said he looked like it was the we gotcha moment.
Yeah. Ah.
Where
Did they say?
They said his eyes were like, oh, I'm caught. But I'm thinking, your eyes were saying a lot more than just that. Always.
Yeah.
There it is, the same pattern.
We demanded that he take the boots off at that time. And I know, looking at his eyes, he's going, uh-oh.
So the boots, they match. In his car, they find blood and bullets from a .25 automatic, okay? And all the victims were killed with this .25 caliber Raven pistol. But the cops are like, hey, Doug Clark, we'd sure love for you to give us that pistol. Do you remember what his response was, this little
No.
He goes, oh, I bet you would. I bet you would like to find those guns, wouldn't you?
Instead of saying, well, I don't have them, he said, oh, I bet you would.
Which right there, that's guilt.
Yeah.
They don't even need to find it.
They go back to his house
because he didn't say, like, I don't own a gun. He says, I bet you would want to know where it is.
Absolutely. I mean, that to me is proof of guilt in the room. But, like, that wouldn't last at court. I mean, sadly, a lawyer could tear that up. But I'm with you. That right there is like, all right, the cuff should be on you right now, dude. I feel like you want to go to death row or whatever. Let's get you moving. But so they've searched his house. They've searched the storage unit. They get a search warrant for his friggin' work. They go to this factory.
The Jergens Lotion Factory.
Yes.
And they find near where his workstation is this weird alcove, like in the wall.
Well, yeah, like an employee had slipped on some bricks and it had like kind of freed up the chunk of the wall that had been torn out. And hidden in those bricks was what?
The Raven.
It was a women's cosmetic bag. And we see like a little flower bag. And inside are 2 ravens. Because it was friggin' 2 of them.
That's right.
His and hers.
His and hers.
Ravens.
In her makeup bag Carol.
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
guilty.
That's true.
And in this little enclosure was a woman's cosmetic bag with 2 Raven automatics in there.
Seeing them in this makeup bag really sealed the deal that it was the cutest guns I've ever heard of, because the fact that they both fit in this little makeup bag was shocking to me. Didn't it look super tidy?
It's the noisy cricket from Men in Black.
There you go. The fact that they were in a flowery makeup bag was, my God, was I dying. Okay, he says, but Clark's like, no, I didn't do it. And yet, in his wallet, this was really freaking good. In his wallet, they find Mindy Cohen's phone number. As in Mindy Cohen, the lady who had talked to the girls at the party and said, if you ever need any help, give me a call.
Yep.
So they call up Mindy Cohen, and she has a weird story. About 6 weeks after that party, she gets a random call from somebody.
I killed your friends, and I'm going to come for you too.
Yeah, he goes, yeah. Do you remember those 2 girls, they found the bodies on the highway? Yeah, I killed them, and you're next. Ooh, spooky. Huh? I mean, this guy really getting off on this too, huh? Like, finds this random number and is like, I'm going to call this.
He doesn't know where that person lives.
No. And, this was good. So it's not like he said, oh, by the way, I'm Doug Clark. I'll see you soon. But he just called the tormentor. But the cops now have Doug Clark's voice on recording. So they play that recording for Mindy Cohen, and she goes, yeah, that's
him. And then they check her phone records. And sure
right.
enough, he called her house.
So at this point, they are now charging him with 6 murders, one of which was a Jane Doe. Now our 3rd Jane Doe related thing this month.
Yeah.
Kind of a Jane Doe theme.
It's a sad theme, Kurt.
It's very sad. Very sad.
Baby Jane Doe?
So now we're at Doug's trial. And this was interesting. The judge gave Carol case immunity, which means she can talk freely without it, mattering at her trial or what?
I guess so. I guess they already knew there was enough to put her away for a very long time, so they made one of the counts less so that she could fill in the blanks for all the stuff they were missing. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Like, maybe they did say, like, this one murder, if you talk about it, you won't be... Because she's going to have her trial shortly after this, and she's not getting off, ladies and gentlemen. But she goes in there, and they talk about how she was in heaven recounting the tales, right? She was like just weaving a story.
She gave it life. Carol Bundy just put it in a story form that leaves your mouth open when you listen to it.
Did you like the even the drawing of her from the court recorder?
Classic.
I've got it here. Hang on. It looks terrible. It's so bad. Okay.
But it's accurate.
Sent it to you.
I mean, that's Carol. If anything, those glasses are a little small.
You're right.
But y'all, these are the kind of glasses where they make the eyes bigger. That's how thick and nerdy they are.
Yeah, and
picturing this woman as a serial killer it would be hilarious if it wasn't sad.
Yeah, imagining that face going out and talking a girl into getting in their car and then sitting in the back seat
with a child in the car as well.
And being like, yeah, okay, continue. Please party. It's a little foggy in here. Let me clean off my Coke bottle glasses. I guess she had astigmatism, they said in the other show.
Okay.
So she had to have those at a young age.
I'm glad they cleared that up for us.
Well, I mean, anyway. But yeah, they were hella thick. They were hella thick. So she gets up there, tells her story. She friggin' loves it. He's guilty, and he says he wants death. And they say, sure thing, dude, you got it. We'll give you the death penalty.
They sent him to San Quentin.
But this is California, okay? And as far as this, actually, this show was made in 2017, so it maybe the moratorium thing hadn't happened yet. But as we know, anybody in death row in California doesn't get killed, and hasn't for a long time.
It hadn't happened yet, because the titles at the end say he's still in there today on death row.
Yeah. And I can tell you now, he died in 2023. I was hoping it was COVID. It was just cardiovascular disease.
Boo.
But he is dead. But here's what's wild is they talk about how, so these two both go to prison for life pretty much. She gets 52 years to life. And they freaking keep in contact.
They're writing letters.
This is really weird, right? We've never seen this. Usually it's break off and they hate the other person forever.
I mean, she is the reason they're both in there. They would have gotten away with it had she not started cold calling the cops.
Yeah.
Because they had 0 leads. None.
Right.
And it would have just been chalked up to the Hillside Strangler.
It truly is all her doing this. You're right. I mean, So if I were him, I'd be super pissed.
He's still like, I hope you're well. All my love.
I stopped and read that article or read those letters on the screen. They were kind of weird. And hey, something on there made my list, but I'm saving that for later.
Oh.
So 92, his case gets retried for some reason, still guilty. This frigging guy, the cop being interviewed goes, I just saw this guy recently, and he still says he's innocent.
He says he's innocent, but then he demanded death row, as you do when you're innocent.
Yeah.
No.
I can't, that long. I just, like, you're so old now, dude. Just admit it. You'll get a few articles about you. Like, tell us where you put the head. Anyway, this will forever get me fired up. But they end it on a literal recording of Carol going, I don't know about you guys, but shooting someone's really fun to do. And she, like, laughs maniacally, right?
And the cops are like, we know. We do it all the time.
I don't know if you guys have ever in your entire life shot anybody, but it's really fun to do.
So, Carol died in 2003. She says she's long dead. It's wild Doug Clark lived 20 years longer. Okay, all right, well, I believe it is time for those lists. What do you got?
Kate's unnamed list.
Uh-huh.
Well, we got that Chevy van.
Big time. And wait, do we clarify, the show did it in a cool way where we heard about the van before we found the dead body in it. I mean,
we did. Yes.
That van that we're talking about, that's the one that she was suckered into paying for. That's the one that she blew him in and then stabbed him in the butt.
She gave him the $10,000 for and then blew him and killed him in.
That's wild. That's what was missing from the other shows where I was like, this is gold. I can't believe no other shows used this little hook here.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh my God, so crazy. Okay, what do you got?
The only other thing is the military, because Doug had been honorably discharged.
And he grew up he was a military brat and stuff, so I think he counts. Absolutely.
Yep.
That it?
That's it.
On to Kurt's Kick-Ass List.
Kick-Ass List.
First step, seeing the outside of that jail that's in all the movies and stuff. The incoherent vice shot and stuff. Boom. Kurt's Kick-Ass List. Also, I got two more. Doug said, when they first bring in Doug to talk, the cop said he thought he was the smartest person in that room.
He was self-assured that he was the smartest individual in that room, by far.
That was a late entry, but that's on my list, Kate, for when cops say, he thought he was smarter than us, damn it, and he wasn't. Okay? They love that.
Yeah.
They friggin' love it.
They love that. And a lot of times, I would say the person is smarter than them. But in this case...
But don't let them hear you say that.
In this case, no. No. He was an idiot.
And then my last one, when I paused that letter to look at it and stuff, in the bottom written... Now, they made it sound like this letter was from Doug to Carol, because it said, behave and be well, D. But this looked like female cursive to me. For one, the PS of the stuff at the end, because at the end it goes, in handwriting, it goes, God, it's 11:30. I missed a Cheers rerun I wanted to see. I missed the early years. Oh, well, that's what it said. And it's like, early years, 82 is when Cheers premiered. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, you were fresh in prison, I guess. I guess you didn't have TV privileges yet, apparently.
Yeah.
But she put Cheers with an exclamation point at the end. That's not official. So take that out of there, friggin' Carol. Okay? There's no exclamation point.
And you think
Cheers.
Carol wrote that?
Or I guess Doug did. The handwriting looked female to me. You don't think so?
I think men were writing cursive back then.
They show a signature from Carol that kind of looks like that writing too. That's why I was confused. But anyway, whoever wrote that letter, Cheers fan. Boom. You're on the list.
Boom.
There we go. That's it. Are we missing anything?
I don't think so.
I mean, this is adding to our list of kooky killers that you just don't see. I'm surprised I don't hear more about Carol Bundy, I guess. Mm-hmm. Because they even talk about how, like, they're not sure what her involvement was. Was she involved in all the killings? Very much, potentially.
Did she
right?
straight up do some of the murders single-handedly?
Without Doug there? I don't think so. She's a small, round woman. She can't pick up them bodies, right?
Or with Doug there, but, like, were some of them her idea? Were some of them...
Right.
Did she do the shooting? We'll never know.
We know they're both guilty because he even says, she's the one who presented me with the 11-year-old and I didn't say no. That was his phrasing. It's like, good. She's really safe face there, dude.
Right. You're a good person. Sorry about that.
It wasn't your idea. Yeah, but you just took advantage, I guess. Anyway, they suck. They're both dead, so that's pretty sweet. Good episode of Vanity Fair Confidential. Will we do another one? Maybe.
Maybe.
There's 2 seasons available on HBO Max.
If there's a body.
Yeah, that's true. And on that note, I'm Kurt Money.
I'm Kateline.
The anus area